QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021 Bank Reconciliation Month 2 Report. Let's get into it with Intuit. QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars homepage. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the View drop-down, selecting the open windows list. We entered the bank reconciliation for the second month last time. We're going to do the finalization of the bank reconciliation and then take a look at the reports related to it. To do that, let's open up some of our financial statements, our balance sheet, by going to the Reports drop-down, Company and Financial, going down to the Balance Sheet Standard, changing the dates up top from 01/28/21, just one date that we'll have there. There's the ending balance for cash. Then we have our Excel sheet that we have been using to enter the data. This is our mock bank statement. So if you have access to this, we're in the February tab here, or you might have a PDF file, or you can just follow along here. Here is our bank statement. I'm going to go back to QuickBooks. We're going to open up the prior bank reconciliation so I can see the report for January by going to the Reports drop-down. I'm going to go to the banking, and I'd like to look at the previous reconciliation. I just want to look at the detailed report. This will be for the end of January. Let's see if we can display that item. So there it is. I'm gonna make it a little bit larger here. So we'll zoom in. So there we have that. Okay, and then we left off, we're going to be reconciling now for the month of February. So let's go into the reconciliation. So we're going to go to the banking drop-down. I'm going to reconcile. Banking, reconcile. We have already entered all this data, so we've gone through the process. We're going to the final step of reconciling now. If you haven't seen the past information and you want to, take a look at the prior presentations. We're going to say continue here. And we had left off reconciling everything, so we're tied out down here. We have a zero balance down here, meaning that we have done the reconciliation process. But this is not really the reconciliation, you'll recall, because what this means is that the cleared balance, the ones we have checked off, equals the ending balance on the bank statement, which equals this balance. We don't have anything here showing us the reconciliation to the books, meaning how do I tie that balance into the balance on the books? That's the reconciliation process here. So, I don't see anything doing that in this reconciliation screen. Now we can figure it out because the thing that's going to reconcile are these unchecked items. So if I was to add up the unchecked items, then that's how we can reconcile to the books. But this screen, having them unchecked, is what's going to allow QuickBooks, of course, to generate the report, which will then reconcile the bank balance, this 104,689.68, by the unchecked items to the book value that we would see then on the balance sheet. So let's do that now. I'm gonna reconcile. So we'll finally hit the blue button. And notice if you had something here and you tried to reconcile first with this not zero, you can force it to reconcile. It'll say, hey, look, you're out of balance. And you could try to force it to reconcile, and it will enter a reconciling entry for you. You really want to avoid doing that, however, because if there's any balance here, even if it's like a penny, really, but if it's something like $1 or a few dollars, it seems insignificant, but it can be significant because that $1 or $2 could represent multiple different transactions. You could have like 10 deposits and 5 checks that add up to that dollar difference because they net each other out. So the legitimacy of the bank rec goes down greatly if there's any variance down here in terms of the difference. And you should be able to tie it out. We should be able to tie it out exactly because we can just take and tie the whole thing out, And if we should know exactly what the difference should be because we're tying out each number as we go. Okay, so I want to look at both here. So I want to display both of them. So we'll say both, and there we have it. So I'm going to say, okay, let's just close this. Now notice, like right now, it's in the format that we're kind of used to seeing here. And it's in the kind of format that we're used to seeing here. But the previous bank reconciliation, this one's in more of a PDF type of file. So you really want to kind of save your bank reconciliations as you go. Because if there's any change to like the prior data, or you might not have as much access to the bank reconciliation process, you want to save it statically as of this point in time. Have a copy of it so that you can see where it was at that point, at that point in time. So you want to really save these as you go. So let's go back into the detail. I'll first take a look at the summary. So here's our summary bank rec. So you'll recall that the beginning part of it isn't much use. It's even less use right now than it was in the first bank reconciliation where it did have some value to it. Meaning we have the beginning balance, that's the balance on the beginning balance of the bank statement, and then it just mirrors what's on the bank statement. Meaning here's the things that cleared on the bank statement, and then here's the ending balance on the bank statement, which is the 104,689. So here's the 104,689.68. We already knew that because we have the bank statement. So we knew all that cleared. What we really want is this reconciling item to this reconciling item. So that's what we're looking for. And so this second reconciling item is on the balance sheet. So if we go to the balance sheet, there's the reconciliation. We want to reconcile between those two items. So if I go back to the summary, then it's telling us this is exactly what the difference is. There's 5 outstanding items in terms of checks or decreases, and there's 1 deposit. Now that's great that we know that in summary, but I don't know what the actual checks are by the summary report. So this isn't all that useful to me if I go back to it in the future. It's nice that it kind of recaps it in a nice small little context here, but it doesn't give me the detail I want, which is these 5 items and not 1 item. I want to know what those are. And that's what an auditor is basically going to want. So to get that, we want to go to the detailed report. So let's go to the detailed report. And so here we have the detail. Once again, it breaks out that beginning balance. Here's everything that cleared. This is basically everything that's on the bank statement again. And this is all the stuff on the bank statement. We checked it off because we saw it on the bank statement. So it all cleared. So it's basically giving us a double check of the numbers we already knew. And then again, where we want to be is this 104,689, because that's the ending balance, 104,689. That's the balance on the bank statement. And then we really want to know what these 5 items are, which they're telling us now. So here are these 5 items, and we can see what they are. Now this one obviously is the one we're most concerned with in and of itself, because it was written in January and it still hasn't cleared all the way through February. So we probably want to check in on that. These 3 we would definitely expect to clear in March. So we would actually go into March's transactions and check in March and see if they have cleared at that point. If they have, then that's fine. And it's just a timing difference. And then we have this 1 deposit down here. So that's the information that we want to have. This is the detail that we want to have. But remember, the reconciliation does not simply check that these outstanding items are okay. By knowing to the penny, or at least to the dollar, but you know, as close as possible to the penny should be doable, what the difference is, then we can be assured that everything that has been entered is entered more correctly. We have our level of assurance on everything goes up greatly by being able to reconcile at a certain point in time. So that's going to be the point of the reconciliation process. So let's go ahead and save this. So now that when you first do the bank rec, you have the opportunity to save the report in a similar fashion that we would with any other report. We have the same kind of options up top. So let's save the second one in kind of our normal routine of saving. So I'm going to go to, let's do the summary report first. So I'm going to save it as a PDF, and then I'm going to save it as Excel, and then we'll put them all into one file again as well that we've seen in prior sections. And our goal is to try to present this to somebody else, either a supervisor or a client, in a way that's as nice as possible. So I'm going to print this. I'm going to use the Qt PDF printer as we've seen in the past. You can use the PDF item or option, but I like practicing this Qt PDF printer just to use a PDF printer because I think it's useful to do so. So we're going to say okay, and then this is going into section 9. So once again, you might want to, if you're dating it, you might want to put the date first. If you're putting all the dates in the same area, I'm not going to do that here, but you might want to start with like the year and then the month and then the day, so it sorts by date. But I'm just going to say bank rec for, and this is going to be this is the summary for 02/28/28.21, and I'll save that. And then I also want to export it to Excel. So I'm going to go export to Excel, create a new worksheet. So we're going to create a new worksheet in Excel. We will create a new workbook and a new worksheet within that workbook. So I'm going to export it. It's going to open up Excel. Now, obviously, you need Excel if you're going to use this option, but this is a really nice feature to have. And then I'm going to make this large. I'm going to do our standard formatting here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Oh, hold on a second. And then let's go to the page layout tab over here. And I'm going to say, okay. And then we're going to go up to the view up top, view. And I want to go into Windows and remove the splits. So remove the split. And then I'm going to go back to the first tab. And I'm going to delete this tab. Right click on that tab, delete it. Okay. And this is going to be the summary. This is summary. So bank rec summary. And then let's save this. I'm going to go to File tab up top. I'm going to save it and go to the Browse button. Now we're going to put, I'm going to go to the desktop. We want it in the Get Great Guitars data files and section 9. And I'm just going to call it Bank Reconciliations. Let's just call it Bank Rec for 02.28.21. And we're going to put both the summary and the detailed report into this one workbook. I'm going to close it back out. And now let's do the reconciliation detail. Now notice I didn't do some of the formatting. You might want to get rid of these items up top. I'm not gonna take away the pennies because they're important. You could put the negative numbers as brackets if you want to in this report. That might be useful. So you could, let's just check it out. If you went to customize up top and you said, okay, I want to go to the fonts and numbers perhaps and make the parentheses around the red numbers and make them red. That could make it stand out. I don't want to take away the pennies here because that's going to be important. That could be important. So I'm going to say okay. And then you could take away the timestamp by going to customize reports, header and footer, and take away the date and time so they don't see that you're working, at 2 in the morning or whatever. And then, so there we have it. You might do that adjustment. And then let's export this, or print it and export it. So I'm going to print it first, and we'll print that one and see what we have there. So it's going to ask me, where do I want it? I'm going to say it's in the right spot. So that's good. It's going to be the bank rec, and this is the detail for 02.28.21. So I'm going to save that. And then I'll export it to Excel. So now I'm going to create a new worksheet, but it's going to be in an existing workbook this time. So we're going to say still new worksheet. And then I want to go to an existing workbook. It's probably not going to the right place right now. So I'm going to click on that and say that's not section 8. I'm in section 9 now. We're in section 9. And then this is the one I want. So I'll pick that up. And then we'll go ahead and export. So there we have it. I'm going to do the standard process. I'm going to move this to the right, left clicking on it, moving it to the right. And then I'm going to delete the first tab, right clicking on it. I don't need that stuff. I don't need that. Right click, delete. Stop giving me that thing. And then I'm going to double click on this sheet here and then change it to the detailed report. And then we can do our standard formatting, go into the second tab, say, okay, this is going to be a little bit more difficult because you can see the splits here. So I'm going to go, all right, let's go to the view up top and let's go Windows, and I'm going to tack this down so I don't have to keep opening it, and I'm going to remove the splits and then go back to the first page. That'll give me these little lines to tell me where the page breaks are that I'm going to have to deal with. So we have that, and the title looks good. So I want to condense this to some degree if I can. So how can I do that? Well, we could go to landscape. So let's go to the page layout and say I want to go to orientation and landscape, and then does that do it? That does it. That does it. I think that does it. And then if that didn't work, you can delete some of these columns or whatnot. And you can also, obviously the next step would be I'm going to highlight F, hold down Control H, J, L, N. I don't really need those, and P. So you could have deleted those, right clicking on that item and then delete. So you could delete those. And if you still had a problem, this indentation system they have over here, not really necessary. I can indent in one tab. So I might take this out of column A. I'm just going to cut it there and paste it here. And then I'm going to cut this and paste it here. And if I want an indentation, then I'm going to select these two items and go to the Home tab, Alignment, and then increase the indenting. So I don't need a whole nother column to do that, to indent. And then this one I can indent, Home tab, Alignment, indent it again. And then I just open it up a little bit instead of having two columns. And then I can do the same down here. I can cut this, put it over here, and then indent, Home tab, Alignment, indent. And then this one, same thing, cut it there. I don't need those two columns there. It's not necessary. And then we can indent these two if we want to. Home tab alignment, indent, and then indent. And same here, I can say, it's not necessary. I'm going to cut that and put here, home tab alignment, indent. And then these two, I can cut these and put them here. I'm not sure if I need any indenting, but then I can delete columns A through C and do that. So there we have that. So that looks good. So I'm going to save it, and now we can print this as one document now instead of having two. So I can go to the File tab, and I can go to Print, and I want to print it using that cute PDF printer. I want to print the entire workbook, so I'm going to print the entire thing. And so there's the summary one, and there's the detailed information. All right, there's no like, it looks good. Okay, so let's print it. We'll say print, and it's going to print using the cute PDF printer. And so there we go, and bank rec name looks good, so I'm going to save it. And that looks good. So then if I minimize this, what we have then is if I go into my data files, I go into my data files for section 9, and I was going to provide this to someone. I'm going to go to the view thing up top and make it large. We could then have these, we could have the two attachments. The bank, I'm just looking at February right now. We can have attachment for the February summary and the February detail, or we can use the bank reconciliation for February, the full sheet. So in other words, I can have this one PDF that could attach the entire thing. If I open up this PDF, it's going to look like this, and now we have the summary up top, and then we have the detailed down below. Notice when you do the landscape thing in Excel, it still kind of prints it this way as if it doesn't like change the whole thing to go sideways or 190 degree sideways type of thing. It has it in this format, which is nice. So you can see it as a normal format. Closing this back out. The other way you could do it is you can put these two items into another folder. You might want to say, instead of having two attachments, I'm going to say bank recs, and then I'm going to take the summary bank rec, put it in there, and then I'm going to take the detailed bank rec and put that there, and then you can attach this file. If I double click on this file, I can't attach it unless I zip it. So I can right click and zip this thing, send it to a compressed file, and then we could rename it. I'm going to right click and rename it, and then bank rec and for 02.28.21. So then we can attach it this way. So you can attach this way, which is kind of maybe a little bit nicer than having two attachments, although two attachments isn't too bad. And then I think this is the best way to have it, is to combine them in one, PDF file. So that's how you can, basically deliver the reports.